Lizzo is being sued and her public perception is being smeared. It is being destroyed. It is being obliterated. By the end of this video, you may not have the juicy details of the case, but you will have an understanding about the principles of why this is being out to be made such a huge deal in society, which will serve as a reminder to you on a personal level. Like, yes, there are some things here in this case that should remind you about how to govern yourself moving forward. Let's get into it.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
Reason number one, right? So I said I'm going to make sure you understand why, the principles behind why this is being made to be such a big deal in society. I think it's being made to be such a big deal because it's being made to be such a big deal. Here's what I mean. If you haven't heard, yes, Lizzo is being sued by her 3 former dancers. To be sued means you have a lawyer, and a lawyer has to have a strategy in the courtroom. But some lawyers have strategies before they get to the courtroom. And I believe that this is what's going on because the news about this spread so quickly like wildfire. It's almost as if there was an entire press campaign put behind the lawsuit. I say that because, listen, let me show you over here. Look, the New York Times, listen, the New York Times says former tour dancer accuses Lizzo. I'm saying, like, this is all over the most major outlets. Like, yes, people file lawsuits all the time. And when they file lawsuits, it's not national news. And it's not just national news because she's a celebrity. Plenty of celebrities have lawsuits filed against them. This is being made to be a big deal. It's a big deal because Lizzo is being accused of having her dancers be involved with harassment and a hostile work environment. Whew, it's not funny. Like this is serious and it's actually sad. I only smirk because I'm like reading between the lines. I'm like peeping game. What this tells me is these are accusations of harassment. These are accusations of a hostile environment, which means that this may or may not hold up in a court of law or in front of a jury of her peers. But Ms. Lizzo and her team are being put in front of a jury of the public, okay, which is sometimes even harsher. Why? Because that can thrust her into crisis mode, right? It's like, oh my gosh, everybody's thinking this about me, whether or not it's true. The opinions of her have already been swayed. And the crazy part is, Lizzo has come out and denied these allegations. Say what? Yes, Lizzo is denying it. Let me show you of a principle of why this is being made to be such a big deal. Uh, let you hear a little bit about what they're saying.
That is true. During that excruciatingly long re-audition process, was I under the impression that if I left the stage, I would be fired? Yes. Did I unfortunately go to the bathroom on myself on one stage because I was so terrified? Yes. There is, you in a court of law, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know anything, but I know that if you ask someone to tell the truth, these things will come out of her mouth. If you have to say yes or no to these questions, she has to say yes because they are true.
You really think that she was going to resort or could resort to physical violence?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, the facts of that were that she actually balled up her fist like this to me. She started cracking her knuckles, and she was like, "You're so effing lucky that basically I'm not going to hit you." And, you know, I was in shock watching her do that and cracking her knuckles and acting as if she was going to come at me. And for a second, I was like, you know, I don't think she's going to do that. Like, that's not what's going to happen. But the fact that one of her dancers, all of us were present, all the dancers were present for mostly all of these allegations.
This is, ooh. I'm gonna get to the principles of the matter here in a moment and how this relates to you and how it's reminding you of something on a personal level. Yeah, I trust me. If you're watching this video, I know you watch. But I just want to go here to what Lizzo had to say.
Professional. I take my music and my performances seriously because at the end of the day, I only want to put out the best art that represents me and my fans. With passion comes hard work and high standards.
Okay. All right. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is. Okay. Still, no juicy details here. But this is kind of crazy because at the end of the day, what makes this such a big deal in society is that if this is true, this will be the highest level of irony and hypocrisy that anybody has seen in a long time. I'm saying that because Lizzo is kind of like a face, like the face of like body positivity, and the allegations, if I go back here to this New York Times article, the allegations are that she had them being involved with overly sensual atmosphere. She was harassing them. The tour's dance captain has done things that Lizzo may or may not know, something about sensual type of harassment, weight shaming. I mean, it's all kind of stuff. Then this is the part that kind of gets weird right here. So it's not just the weight shaming from the person who's body positive and who is hurt from the same weight shaming, but this is the part right here that kind of gets, is that there are some type of religious teachings being forced upon these ladies, like some kind of Christianity is being forced down their throat, or I don't know. This is kind of, it's a lot. Like if this is true, let me tell you this. It's a lot going on. Those are conflicting things. Like, so in one way you're saying this is a strict, let's have all these morals and integrity Christianity environment. And this other way, you're saying she's exposing you to environments where you have to be, they're overtly sensual, and you have to do things against your will, and you're being like, which one is like, are we debaucherous? Or are we integrous? Well, I don't. All this is happening at the same place, so it's kind of don't seem like. Let's just say this: those two things conflict. I guess the question here is that most people have at this point, because they've seen the story, is there any evidence, right? So far, none has been mentioned. Like when I say evidence, they didn't say, well, we have the videos and we have text messages and we have emails, some type of receipt that we say that can prove these allegations. I don't see that any of those have been presented, but they're saying, hey, this is facts. This is facts. And then the other thing that happens when it comes to something like this in the court of law, which is, are there any witnesses, right? Now, I don't think there's been any witnesses besides the other dancers who can all vouch for it. And the crazy part is the former staffers, former dancers. I say staffers because I think there was some type of creative director of some sort who also came forward saying that, listen, yes, I have experienced a hostile and toxic work environment myself. So again, all this stuff going on and people saying these things, it kind of leads me to the principle that I feel like you should be left with. But let me go back and say this. I said all those things are going on, they're conflicting. It makes it seem like I don't believe it. I don't think anything is unbelievable. I believe anything in this day and age. Can't put nothing past nobody at this point. And all I'm saying is, if those things are going on, whew, it will be a lot. So it's the principle for people. So number one, it's being made to be a big deal because it looks like there's some kind of press campaign. And then number two, it will be ironic, it will be hypocrisy, and it will be the most hostile, toxic, and dramatic, toxic, for those of y'all, she said toxic, no, toxic and dramatic experience for somebody. So these allegations prove to be true. Oh my gosh, the amount of like what they have had to go through kind of is beyond me. It blows my mind. But I want to go back to the principle, right? The principles for you. I want to go to these principles because Lizzo literally denied it. And I did I make it clear? I made it clear. Yeah, Lizzo on CNN, because I said New York Times, CNN, this is a big deal, right? So she denies that. She said, no, she's hurt that they've even filed this type of lawsuit. You see what I'm saying? So she says this is preposterous. She said they're former employees and their behavior has been unacceptable, right? Basically, they didn't level up as employees, and so now they want to come out and say something like this, which is like, no, I know I have a high standard, so it sounds good, but there's quite a few people willing to come forward and say the opposite. And so here's what I want to leave you with. I think this is a reminder that we can draw. This is a negative situation, very negative situation, but there's something positive that can be extracted here, and that is number one, walk in integrity, because integrity vindicates you. I'm gonna actually have to give you a scripture. Gotta give you a scripture. Psalms 35:24 says, "Vindicate me in your righteousness, Lord, my God. Do not let them gloat over me." Now, if you paying attention, he said, "Vindicate me in your righteousness." But he's also want God's righteousness to be his righteousness, right? Let me walk righteousness. If you righteous, I'm walking righteous. You know I'm walking worthy. Please vindicate me, right? Don't let them gloat over me. Listen, I'm telling you, if you walk in integrity, your truth will outlive their lies. I have to chuckle right there because I've experienced some things like this where people were saying things about me, all kinds of preposterous things, and they weren't the least bit of truth. And I wasn't around to defend myself. There was no lawsuit launched, but eventually somebody had an opportunity to experience that person in by themselves, aside from me, and it let them know that, nah, everything they were saying, this person was saying about me, that's not true, right? Also, time had went on and I continued to live the same lifestyle. I walked with integrity, and this person didn't have any receipts or any type of proof that I had done anything otherwise. So basically, the truth, your truth, will always outlive a lie if you're walking with integrity. So let's be reminded to do that. Another thing I want to be reminded to do, and that is I want to be reminded to, man, we need to make sure that there is shared values with those who we come in alignment with. And I was looking over here to the side because I want to show you here in the court case, in the lawsuit, rather. The lawsuit is being brought against, of course, Lizzo. They put her first full name. And then Shirlene Quigley, who is the tour's dance captain. Here's what it says that's very interesting, and why I say that you need to make sure that you have shared values with people who you come in alignment with. Because it says, it did not specify whether the singer, that is Lizzo, the lawsuit does not specify whether the singer was aware of the plaintiff's allegations linked to Miss Quigley. So, like, what I'm saying is she may or may not even know what this person was doing. What I'm trying to say is people who you come in alignment with represent you. Yes, as you see on the article, there's somebody else's names. There's Lizzo and some other person's name. But that person's name is not the one that's really being dragged through the mud right now. That person is not being smeared in such a heavy way. All the headlines say Lizzo, right? And so I'm not trying to say you have to have shared values with everybody you associate with, because that's impossible. There's no way to have shared values in every single area with every single person that you associate with. But you should have shared values with people who you align with. And even still, you can't have shared values in every single way with even the people you align with. But what you should do as the leader of a thing is to make sure you say, hey, when we're here, this is the standard over here. This is what we do over here. We have shared values as it relates to this professional environment or this project we're working on or this little league team, whatever. Over here at my house, this is what we do. Do we have shared values there? Do we have an alignment there? We may not have alignment in other areas, but when we're here, this is what we're going to do. It's very, very important. And here's a little bonus content before I get off this topic. Notice I keep saying, if this is true, and it is horrible, right? The only reason why I'm saying that is not because I'm not validating their experience. I validate their experience. Like, listen, what I'm saying is, if it holds up in the court of law, true, right? But just because something don't hold up in the court of law, that doesn't mean that it's not true. It just means that there's not enough substantial evidence. So I understand that. So I sincerely and truly, man, I hate the fact that they have endured whatever has brought them here to be willing to go public in this way. Because what you would think is ruining her reputation can also kind of be smearing their own. So, I, man, I feel for them in that. I think it sucks. It is sad, right? But I say that to say that this is a law case. This is just not public opinion. What you think, what you think, what you think, what you think. This is a lawsuit. And so a lot of times people with public opinion, we just jump to the conclusion. You don't have all the details or any of that. Like, y'all gotta quit jumping to conclusions and let stuff unfold and let stuff unveil. Right now, all you can say, hey, look, this is crazy. This is wild. And I hate that anybody would have to be in this type of position, Lizzo or the dancers or the whoever. Like, I wish that there was a way for people to be able to resolve their disagreements with one another in a better, in a more conducive, in a more amicable way. That when we see these types of negative things happen in society, we don't just look at them and be like, oh, what happened? Give me the tea, give me the juice. Like, no, I want you to see them and take heed, right? So you want to have the reminder that you need to be walking in integrity. Yeah, this is what's going on with Lizzo, but how is your integrity going? What is somebody else able to say about you? And if you're walking with integrity, then your integrity will be your vindication. It will protect you, right, in the long run. Also, I want to let this situation remind us to audit our circles. You definitely have to audit your circle to make sure that you have shared values with the people who you have alignment with. And in doing that, you're going to be protecting your name. Because see, your name is, I would say, it's an intangible asset, right? A good reputation, I used to hear as a little girl, is better than silver and gold because a good reputation can't be bought. It must be earned. So here's what I want you to do. No, I don't want you to do anything. I got a question. Question. Do you think that Lizzo can earn her reputation back after this smear, right? What would be a smear campaign? Do you feel like she can actually earn her reputation back? I want to know. I want to know what you think. Drop me some comments. I want to keep this type of conversation going because I want us to be able to have positive things that we can extract even out of negative things that we see going on in society. And not only do I want you to drop me a comment, I want you to consider subscribing to the channel again so that we can keep this conversation going. And I'll see you in the next video.
Listen, ShySpeaks.